Hi guys, so today's lesson is 3.07. You should have read Act 4 of A Midsummer Night's Dream, so these questions should be relatively easy. The bell ringer in Act 4, what happens between Oberon and Titania? Remember that Oberon and Titania are both fairies in the woods. Oberon's the king of the fairies, and they're arguing. A, she breaks the spell with her own power and sends Bottom away, because remember, she falls in love with Bottom. B, she gives him the little boy and he removes the spell from her eyes. Or C, she decides to stay with Bottom and ignore Oberon. So the answer is B. Titania gives Oberon the little boy that they were fighting over, and he removes the spell from her eyes, making it so that she's no longer in love with Bottom. This week's Peek at the Week. Remember that this is testing week. Monday is lesson 3.07. Tuesday and Wednesday you don't have lessons because of testing. Thursday is lesson 3.09. Friday is lesson 3.10. Today you guys are starting the 3.07 discussion, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. And then Friday you have a quiz. The reading by Thursday, you need to make sure that you have read the entire play, because when we come to class on Thursday, we will talk about Act 5. And then success criteria, I will know I've met success when I have read A Midsummer Night's Dream, Act 4, and then participate in the discussion. Today you're starting it. It locks on the 19th. And then here are the standards. These last three deal with discussion. And then this first one deals with just the grade band reading complexity. So what we're going to talk about right now is Elizabeth I. Remember, we've talked about Shakespeare and his times. Elizabeth I was the Queen of England during most of his life. She was daughter of Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn. If you know anything about Henry VIII, he was a very interesting character. She was born in 1533 and was crowned queen in 1558, and being a queen during that time period, especially unmarried with no children, was a very great anomaly. She ruled until her death in 1603. The Elizabethan age was a period of peace, and the English Renaissance took place during that time period, and great artistic achievements. Elizabeth had no children. She wasn't married, and so she didn't have any descendants. So there was a lot of turmoil when people were trying to succeed her. Many of Shakespeare's plays, most famously Hamlet, explore what might happen if society's order were to break, and explores the death of a king. And the person that killed the king was very, very important. And Midsummer Night's Dream is the opposite. It was a comedy. So let's talk about a few things pertaining to A Midsummer Night's Dream. So what's a patron? A patron is somebody who supports, generally monetarily, the arts. Elizabeth I and James I were both patrons of the arts, including Shakespeare. And he often kept them in mind when he was writing his plays. What's famous about Bottom's name? It does, in fact, refer to a person's bottom, making fun of him. If you understand the fact that he was given a donkey's head in replacement of his head, and then you could equate that to a bad word. And then what do you predict? What do you think will happen at the end of the play? So check your understanding. Who finds the lovers in the woods? Is it Theseus, Hippolyta, and Hermia's father? Hermia's father, who was looking for his daughter, or Theseus and Hippolyta on their way to their wedding? That's Theseus, Hippolyta, and Hermia's father. What happens to the four lovers? Theseus is concerned because of their strange stories. Remember, Theseus is the duke, and he sends them to rest. Hermia's father insists that she marry Demetrius no matter what happened in the woods. Or Theseus says they can all get married at the same time. He marries Hippolyta. And then the answer is Theseus says that all of the lovers can get married at the same time he marries Hippolyta. So keep that in mind. Remember that at the beginning of the play, they weren't paired off. So everybody loved Hermia. What happens to Bottom? A, Titania keeps him with her forever. B, Puck takes the... Remember, Puck is Robin Goodfellow. Takes the donkey's head off him and he rejoins his friends. Or C, he has to live with the donkey's head forever. And the answer is Puck takes the donkey's head off him and he rejoins his friends to get ready to perform the play for the wedding. So let's watch this English cast really quickly.
Hi, it's Nick. You caught me reading. Wow, what a wild story. I just finished reading Act 4 of A Midsummer Night's Dream. It has lots of colorful characters having even more colorful dreams and adventures. Act 4 begins with the characters Titania and Bottom lounging in the woods. Bottom says, "I must to the barber's, monsieur, for methinks I am marvelous hairy about the face." Shakespeare creates humor here with his use of dramatic irony. Dramatic irony occurs when the audience or readers know more than the characters do. In this case, Shakespeare uses dramatic irony to create humor. The audience sees Bottom's donkey head, but Bottom doesn't. Then Titania and Bottom fall asleep, and Oberon and Puck approach. Oberon regrets causing his wife Titania's condition, saying, "Seest thou this sweet sight? Her dotage now I do begin to pity." Look closely at that word, dotage. To dote on someone means to be excessively fond of them. But in Shakespeare's time, it would also have meant being feeble-minded or foolish. Oberon doesn't like seeing his strong-minded wife like this, so he releases her from the spell that made her fall in love with Bottom. When Titania wakes up, she comments on how recent events seem like a crazy dream. "My Oberon, what visions have I seen? Methought I was enamored of an ass." Of course, she was enamored of an ass, or in love with a donkey. And we share a laugh with Oberon, who promises to tell her what's happened. He then has Puck change Bottom back to normal, so that Bottom no longer has the head of a donkey. Next, Theseus and Hippolyta arrive in the forest and find the sleeping Athenians, Lysander, Hermia, Demetrius, and Helena. When they awake, Lysander loves Hermia, and Demetrius loves Helena. All is well. Shakespeare also creates dramatic irony here because the audience members, but not the characters, know that it's Oberon's potion that makes Demetrius love Helena. This dramatic irony creates humor in the play. And their love seems magical, like a dream, as Demetrius says. "Are you sure that we are awake? It seems to me that yet we sleep, we dream." Finally, Bottom wakes up, alone and back to normal. He wonders what's happened and repeats the dream motif that recurs throughout the play. "I have had a dream past the wit of man to say what dream it was." Wow! Shakespeare wrote the play more than 400 years ago, but it still makes people laugh today.
Okay, so now that we've looked at a summary of the act, we need to talk about the discussion. So it's under 3.07 and it's this assessment, and then you'll click on it and you'll see all of these questions. You need to make sure that you answer all of them. We're going to look at each of them in a second so that you guys can think more clearly about them. So in order to get 100%, and keep in mind that this is a test grade, it's worth a test grade, so it is weighted quite high. It's 20 points, which doesn't seem very high, but in the grand scheme of things, when it's weighted so high, it is a big grade. April 10th, you need to post your initial post, so respond to the questions that we're going to talk about in a second. These questions right here. And then by April 13th, you need to respond to one of your peers. And I absolutely do not want to see your response just be, I agree or disagree. You absolutely need to make sure that you say why. When you're talking to someone, you never simply say you agree or disagree. You always tell them why. So same goes for this discussion. You need to, by April 19th, the closing day of the discussion, have responded to another peer. So initial post and then 2 responses to peers. In order to get full credit, your responses must be thoughtful, and you absolutely must provide evidence to support your points from the text. So you have to reference A Midsummer Night's Dream. So the first question, why are Shakespeare's plays still read today? That is one of the discussion questions. You have to respond to all of them. Think about his language, why deciphering his language is so important and how it shapes people. Maybe talk about his themes, his characters, why his works are relatable, even today. And then the second part, near the end of Act 4, Scene 1, Demetrius says, "Are you sure that we are awake? It seems to me that we sleep, we dream." Dreams are referred to throughout the play. What is the purpose of dreams? Because these dreams help to give us information about the characters, about the themes. So you need to answer that question, and you need to relate it to the text. So you absolutely have to reference it. And then what themes are present within this play? That directly correlates with the dreams, but there are also correlations between the 4 lovers and the fact that Helena's left out, and she puts so much pressure on herself to get Demetrius to love her. So why is that important? Or the fight between Titania and Oberon, why is that important? And then the secondary part of that, which we just referenced, is how do the dreams drive the plot or help you to learn the themes? So please make sure you answer all of these questions in your initial post. Your marching orders. Today's exit ticket is April 10th. The password is Mayflowers. Please make sure that you type it just like this. So capital M, a space between May and flowers, and then an S at the end. So Mayflowers. And a hint, the quiz question pertains to the 3.07 discussion. Please make sure that you have read Act 5 or finished the play by Thursday. And as far as testing is concerned, please make sure that you partake in the testing. It is required by MGLVA. And you need to arrive at your testing site between like 7:30 and 7:40. And if you haven't set your Head and Shoulders picture to your homeroom teacher or your site lead, make sure that you do that. Because if you don't, you'll have to have your picture taken on test day, which is not as easy as simply sending your picture. If you have any questions, make sure that you contact us, and we'll see you on Thursday.